Hey guys, how you doing today? About 2 months ago I made a video about using the Stihl EDT8 tachometer, and ever since I've got the tachometer I've been noticing some issues with my chainsaw, and I was getting a little bit concerned because I thought that maybe, since I started playing with the screws, I had turned one screw too much and done something bad. But after doing some research on the internet and watching some videos, and I just want to thank Donnie Boy 73. I watched a lot of the videos by him, and also the chainsaw guy. And then there's another video I watched by a fellow who's obviously an arborist, and he showed how to tear down a carburetor. All these fellows have showed videos about how to tear down a chainsaw carburetor. So I did some more research into my chainsaw and figured out that it had to be something to do with the carburetor. So what I want to do is just show you guys the carburetor, but I figure while we're here I'll just talk a little bit about what I did. And the first thing I did is I just want to check the compression in my chainsaw. I was thinking maybe it overheated because I had it too lean or something, and maybe I damaged the piston. So I did go out to Harbor Freight and I got a compression tester here. So this was by Pittsburgh compression test kit. So this was $21.99 for this guy here, and it's got fittings for different size spark plugs. So the first thing I did with my saw, and we're talking about my 036, I'll show you that later. But the first thing I did was just hook this up to the the spark plug and check my compression. And I don't know if it's good news or bad news. I mean, my compression was at 110 pounds. And everything I've seen says the compression should be between 110 and 150. But I'm happy to say the saw certainly has power. It's got good spark. So hopefully for an 036, that's a good place to be. So the compression was okay. So the next thing I did was to go ahead and I took the carburetor off, and I checked that out, and I want to show you what happened in my carburetor, but I figure as long as we're making a video, just to give you guys a comparison's sake, if you're looking at your own chainsaw, I do just want to show you the exhaust port as well, because my pistons look really good on the chainsaw. So let me move the camera, and I'll show you, the exhaust port and a close-up of what's going on with my carburetor. So in case your chainsaw, the word I would use is my chainsaw was waffling. When I was cutting, and the entire time I did the series on chainsaw milling, the saw would be at full power and it was running okay, but it wasn't really, it was waffling a little bit. It was doing a little bit of hunting. It seemed like maybe it was running a little bit lean. So I just want to show you what I found in the carburetor, which you might find as well. And it turns out it's a fairly simple fix if you watch one of these other fellas' videos. So for my 036, all I need to do is just remove these 4 screws. The 2 screws on top are fairly short, and the screws on the bottom are pretty long. So there's my piston, and I don't know if you can see too well, but it definitely looks fairly clean. And if you take a look, you can see on the lower right there's a little bit of carbon on the exhaust port. And when I was younger, I used to scrape carbon if I saw that much, but I'd usually end up taking a screwdriver and I'd do more damage than good scratching the the side of the exhaust port, and then I'd end up getting some carbon on the piston. So I'm just going to leave that there because it's really not that much. And let me move the piston a bit and bring it up. And if you take a look, I mean, it looks, I don't know how well you can see that either, but I mean, there's definitely no scoring. I mean, I can still see like fine lines from manufacturing that piston, so I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. So I don't think I did anything bad with the motor, and I think we're going to be okay as far as the piston goes. So I took my carburetor off, and when I took off this side, opened up this side, I was pretty amazed at what I saw. And if you take a look, there's a screen here when you open this up. So let's see if we can tell the camera to focus. So on this screen, it is just covered with sawdust right there. And that would definitely end up, you know, blocking some of the fuel, and there's more over here as well. So on this part right here, if you can see as well, that there's just a whole bunch of sawdust clogging things up in there. And that would definitely make a difference, you know, with your fuel, slowing your fuel down. So what I did is when I went to the shop today, I did order a new gasket set, and it was, or a rebuild kit, I guess it's called, for the carburetor, and it was under $15. And I'm going to go ahead and you know, put the new kit in the carburetor. They gave me, I got some carb clean here, so I can clean this carburetor out real good. And then I did order a new air filter. My old air filter, the flocking was starting to be removed on my air filter, and so I think some of the dust was getting by. And I also ordered a new fuel line that goes from the fuel tank to the carburetor, and also the fuel filter, because you know, from reading online forums, I've read that sometimes those fuel lines get cracked and your saw runs a little bit too lean from the air it takes in. So I'm really hoping that for what was probably $60 to $80, when all is said and done, I'm going to have a chainsaw that runs as good as new. And I think it's just, you know, if your saw is starting to lose power, you know, don't rule out that maybe there's just some gunk in that carburetor. And even with the tachometer and tuning it, I really wasn't making that much of a difference. So it really, I think once I take care of this, my saw is going to be good to go. So I just wanted to share that little bit with you. If you learned something, you know, I'm going to put some links down below this video to some videos by the Chainsaw Guy and Donnie Boy. And there's one other fellow that was an arborist that I watched some videos on. But I think these other videos are really great to kind of teach you a little bit more about, you know, your dirty carburetors and rebuilding carburetors and such. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Take it easy.